Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have the Dinky back on the bench today. We had sort of a fail the last time we pulled it up here. We're still trying to put this guitar together and make it play music again. So let's get to work. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe. So, the Dinky, yeah, it's been quite a hot minute. We have been trying to source out first a neck for it. And that took a couple of tries because, the interwebs and online shopping services to source out, a neck for this kind of guitar is not the easiest. You would think it would be, but it's not. If it was a Fender or a Gibson or whatever, and not a Gibson so much, but, if it was a Telecaster, say, there's a million options, but for this, not so much. And they kept telling me, it's a 25-inch scale. Well, it's 25 and a half is the scale. And then they would show up and be 27 and a half, which is 2 inches you can't make up down here. Maybe an eighth of an inch, even maybe a quarter of an inch when it gets to intonation, but not 2 inches. So I digress. We landed on this neck. It is not finished here. It's got a nice dark wood fretboard, and believe it or not, for the price point this thing was in, I'm going to have to do very little fret dressing on it. It seems pretty good. We're going to get to that maybe if we have to. Today's exercise is, the second problem was because it's a reversed headstock, and that was key for the client. We wanted to stay with a reversed headstock because this literally, if I'm not mistaken, is his first guitar. And to kind of change that configuration, he wanted to keep it that way. And I agree with that. The original neck to the guitar had a back bow in it, and it would not relieve. In other words, we couldn't get relief into it. The neck is permanently bent. Could it be fixed? Yeah, you could take them all apart. I mean, it cost way more than what we're putting into this project, which is about $60 for this neck. It is unfinished up here. We're going to be able to, the playing surface is going to be fine. Tuners. This is the third set of tuners because of reversed headstock, and they're really close together. The ones that came off of the original neck were really junk. And not only that, they wouldn't work in here because the bore in this headstock is about twice the size. And it was just a set bushing, not a screw-in bushing. And I really wanted a screw-in bushing to make it more secure and more stable. The nut, we did the nut. Previous video, I had to take, the nut that came on it, which is this one, was a mile high, and they had already set it in there, and I knocked it out, ground it down, did some work on it. We're still going to have to slot it once we get it all set up. That's going to be first fret action. So today, this is what we're dealing with. I have all that to get us to where we are. Sorry. Some of you watch all the videos. Some of you may land on this video, and this is where we're starting. So I already have the tuners placed, the tuning machines placed, and I have already taken a straight edge and checked and rechecked and checked again to make sure that everything is pretty straight. And when I say pretty straight, it's dead on. And we have literally just enough. Now, I don't manufacture these heads, and I don't drill those. I have. There is a way to do it, and there's, then you buy them like this, and they already come. So what we're going to do is we already have them in there seated, and we have them positioned where we want them. The last little thing we're going to do is drill pilot holes to put the screws in, which are here somewhere. So, drilling into virgin wood. That can be harrowing if you've never done it, but when you've done it 1,000 million times like I have, it's the same procedure. Sorry about that, you headphone users. So, like I said, we have these snugged up with the bolt, the bushing bolt on the other side so they don't wiggle around. And then it's just a matter of drilling the pilot hole and putting the screw in. This little screw, all it does is keep this from pivoting. I'm going to pause here while I put the rest of these screws in, just to save a little bit of video time, because the next thing we're going to do is string it up and get to work. Stand by. So, off camera, if things can go wrong, they will. I wasn't going to mention Wilkinson. I've used them before. By the way, it's Wilkinson by Korea Jin Ho. Yeah, that should tell the whole story. I've used Wilkinson before. Are they top quality? No. Are they the lowest quality? Absolutely not. Usually stuff that comes out of Korea is generally better than most offshore stuff. Indonesia, Korea, what have you. They're all in there, but I'm gonna see if you guys can pick off what's going on here. Got one silver screw and one. Let's see if I can show it to you right there. One silver screw head. Why? Because the black ones that came with it, yeah, as I was putting them in, one of them, the head snapped right off, all the way at the bottom. Couldn't snap off and leave, like a 1/16 of an inch sticking out. No, I had to drill next to it. It's a whole procedure, and trust me, it's pretty gory. You don't want to see it. It's fixed up. It's back together. It's going to hold, and I put a little bit better screw in there. It's not the first time that's happened. We see it all the time, but I digress. So let's get some strings on this thing. I am going to put pins, and just for the purposes of this video, we're going to string it, tune it, and maybe do a setup, but I doubt it. What we want to do is string it, tune it, and hear it make sound. Take some measurements on the neck and what have you. Because, yeah, it's a new neck, and we're not 100% sure where this is going to lead us. I got to pull the back off. It does have a type of tremolo system on it. Boy, you just never know. One stupid little mounting screw. I guess the average person would have flipped out. How do you fix that? There's no easy way to do it. I can promise you that. But if you know what you're doing and know what you're looking for, you'll figure it out. Got a hole locked out here. Yeah. So let's get the strings on. I'll be right back. I'm going to get the strings on. We'll look at it again. So where are we after we string up the guitar? I'm going to tell you. Got a couple of things out here, as you can see. We have a shim. We have a fret rocker. That is never good. Out of sheer luck, when I first got this neck, when it arrived, I put it in a flat condition. I set it as straight as I could, and I have not adjusted it since I bolted it to the guitar. And guess what? It's right there. It's dead on. That's the good news. Let's go down the list of bad news on top of the, broken screw head in the neck, the headstock. I had to drop all the saddles all the way down because the string action was so high. I had to drop all the saddles down. Now remember, we still have to cut our nut slots, but before we do that, we want to make sure our neck relief is straight, or where it's supposed to be, which we just did. And then kind of check our, string height. Now, is it perfect where I would like it? No, because our saddles are literally slammed all the way down, and we have 5/64 almost all the way across. That's the good news. The sort of bad news is, because we're all the way down on the saddles, we're going to have to put a shim in. And that's the kind of shim I'm going to start with, which is a 25 degree. It's you don't need to know about that, but basically what it's going to do is it's going to lift it up about 2/64 right here at the heel. Okay, that's the good news. That's not really bad news, but it's sort of bad news. As I was really concerned about distance between the nut and the saddle, that's one of the measurements we have to check. We tune it up and check intonation at the 12th just to start. It's a little flat, and it's enough that I can adjust it. The A string, which was the next one, it's not even ringing. The intonation is dead on, but it's a dead fret. And when I tell you it's rocking, it is rocking so bad. That fret right there. So yeah, whenever you got to pull out your fret rocker because you have a dead fret, and I would bet dollars to donuts, just as sure as God made little green apples, that is not the only one. As I said, this is a budget neck, and it's not because I wanted to save money. I don't think the client would have minded spending $100 or $150. I couldn't source them. I couldn't find them with the reversed headstock. So guess what? We're going to be doing fret leveling on this, which includes, fret dressing. And we're going to have to put a shim in it. So the neck is coming back off, and we're going to, do the fret leveling, put a shim in it before we can even do setup. The good news is our string spacing is monster. I love it. It's so nice. We have equal string spacing across the fret. So we have some wins and we have some losses. Now, keep in mind too that I had to shave the nut down just to make it so it wasn't a mile high. That's going to be a final adjustment later on. We've got so much more work to do on this instrument, but we have some wins, some successes, but this was basically a rebuild. Wow, the bridge is really hot. So all the electronics are sorted. Right now we're dealing with mechanics. And yeah, it's going to take a little while to get this guitar sorted out, but because of what it is, the first guitar that this customer ever owned, or that, that he said, oh, this is, when you're young, you want to go and get, that's the instrument I want. That's the guitar I want. That's why we're going to jump through all these hoops, and we're going to make it as good as we can. Every instrument deserves to play as well as it can possibly play. It's blackjack with 396 guitars. No, I'm not going to do any of that stuff on this video. I'm going to do much of this off camera. And when we come back, we're going to have the fret leveling done, the shim in the neck, and then we're going to start doing final adjustments and cleanup and setup. Because we have a lot to do on this instrument. It took a lot to get it together. It took a lot of sourcing parts, and at every step, it's kind of fought me a little bit, but that's okay. I like a challenge. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe, and by all means, share. We'll get back to this little